Hi guys, and welcome back to another Starcraft Remastered replay cast, as this time we have a very interesting international engagement in between the two pro players. So let me just start by introducing the players to you guys, as we have spawning here in the upper right in the brown. It is SPIRITPARK from South Korea, and his opponent spawning here in the lower right in the orange. It is SZIKY, the pro gamer from Hungary. So international gameplay indeed it is here once again on a 4 spawning location map, as this seems to be a friendly matchup given the fact that both players are just typing each other, and now I believe they are typing into South Korean. The observer is also South Korean, so yeah, let's just see what exactly is going to happen in here. Very soon we're going to be checking out the build orders from the two pros, as the Korean player already preparing a build off of just to give protection towards his expansion point right here. By the looks of it, ZIKY going straight for a spawning pool. So spawning pool first for him, and then very likely going to follow up with a expansion. Actually no, he's actually going for a gas after the spawning pool. So spawning pool into gas for ZIKY. Quite interesting. No, actually he's actually cancelling this to do the one more supply trick for any Zerg. So I was a little bit surprised why exactly he's going for gas. Of course he cancelled that one, and now I believe he's going to drone up a little more. In the meantime, the Protoss with a very early scout for him, as the Overlord is also moving out here for ZIKY into the lower left part. So Forge into a pylon into Forge here for the Protoss. So the Protoss playing very safe. I believe he's going to focus on a macro oriented game. You can see from the timer it's a very long replay, 30-minute cast here onto the 4 spawning location. Still no expansion here for ZIKY. Actually I believe he's going to try to be very aggressive, as you can see from the production tab here in the upper left part. He's going for Zerglings, so this could be an early rush for him, but he has to hurry up as the first cannons are getting produced here, and his hatchery is now also getting started. So first 6 Zerglings going to very likely going to try to surround this one probe. He might be lucky very soon into getting this probe. So at the same time he's going to move here forward. There needs to be a wall of being completed here for the Protoss very soon, perhaps with a gateway very soon, as the Zerglings make their way towards the upper right part. So the cannon can of course 2-shot one Zergling, but if ZIKY is hurrying up he might be successful. One Zergling has made it here forward, second one is getting killed, third one here as well, and we actually do have 2 Zerglings making it here forward into the main from the Protoss. So the probes very soon will have to fight against this. So some mining time might get delayed, even the gas might be delayed. So ZIKY with a very nice early aggression versus the Protoss, as some probes will have very likely be pulled here into stopping this aggression. Already see, yeah, the gateway is not finished yet. The gas is taking quite some damage, and I believe ZIKY actually also nicely expanding all over the map. So aggressive expansion set here for him, as he's going for those 2 hatcheries, as the gas is also taking some damage. So yeah, a little bit of annoyance here. The Korean player of course tries to damage the Zerglings, but they're nicely getting microed out of danger. Finally 4 probes have to be pulled into giving protection towards this one gas, and the Zerglings are pretty much healthy here as they're moving around, as they're roaming around. And yeah, quite some mining time has been lost here for ZIKY, as for Spirit, as more and more damage is being taken here by this gas. So quite a nice move by him. He might even be successful into sniping this gas here. It's of course very hard for the Protoss to out counter this, and the first zealots is getting produced. So the gas is indeed getting killed here by ZIKY. Nice move. Finally the first zealot is moving forward just to give more protection towards those probes. And yeah, with that I believe very soon the Zergs will have to retreat. They might snipe a probe or 2. Actually very nice stuff here by ZIKY, taking out a probe, expanding all over the map. Very soon he is also going to for his tier 2. There it is. Let's have a look at the timer. It's almost getting finished, so he might go for some Mutalisk very soon, as only 1 Zergling is being left alive. The expansion from the Protoss nicely mining here, and we do indeed have a Spire, so it is indeed going to be Mutalisk for ZIKY, and let's see the reaction from the Protoss. Should of course be Corsairs just to counter the gameplay from ZIKY, just to counter those Mutalisk in the air. We have passed the 5-minute mark, some zealots are out, some mining is going on, a heavy number of drones here for ZIKY, 21 drones as more and more is getting mined here, so nice stuff by him. I don't think he needs Sunkens yet against only 2 zealots, so he should be fine. He has the high ground here with those 2 ramps, and I believe he's going to go straight into massive amounts of Mutalisk gameplay very soon. So there's the reaction indeed here for the Protoss double Stargate, just to counter those Mutalisk, and I believe this could be very deadly as the Spire is about to get finished. The economy from ZIKY looking very good. He has enough gas, he just needs some minerals just to launch a full-on attack with Mutalisk versus his opponent. The Zerglings also give great vision in the middle of the map, so pretty good control here for the Zerg, and let's see if indeed he's going for Mutalisk or defensive Scourges. We're about to find out very soon. So yeah, he's just still waiting. Now he's actually going for Scourges, so interesting move by him. He wants to play a little bit more defensively versus the Corsairs, the 2 Corsairs that are getting produced for the Protoss, and still not that many cannons, actually 1 cannon being placed here for the Protoss, and only more and more droning is happening. Actually ZIKY decides to transition now into a Hydralisk then, so we might see a timing push by him with Hydralisk, with Zerglings, as the first Scourges are also moving out on the map. I believe he just wants to know exactly what is into the main from the Protoss, as more and more Corsairs are getting produced, so the Scourges will give him information what exactly is happening, what exactly the buildings are. Sees the double Stargate, so he might just cancel any Mutalisk gameplay now, and he's going indeed for speed or Hydralisk. So it's going to be massive amounts of Hydralisk. We might see some Lurkers for the Zerg as well. We could see some Defilers with Dark Swarm, always a good spell to have into the late game, as more and more is getting produced here for the Protoss. Even 1 weapons upgrade. We can see the upgrades from the Zerg here, as well as actually massive amounts of Scourges are getting produced here for ZIKY. More and more hatcheries are getting finished. Some spores will be finished for him very soon, just to give anti-air protection, and some cannons for the Protoss. So both players preparing their macro-oriented game. No major move out yet, just massive amounts of Corsairs. And yeah, we even have a robotics facility support base, so we might see some Reavers for the Protoss. Reavers, of course, very strong versus the Hydralisk and the Zerglings on the ground, but even better than that, I would say it's High Temper Storms. Could be even much better than that. And interesting enough, the Protoss still massively producing those Corsairs, so I believe he's going to go on a hunt for Overlords. Let's see if there are the hidden Overlords here, but there is a spore, even a second spore is getting produced here for ZIKY, but in come the Corsairs, and I think that Spirit is pretty much going to commit here forward. It's going to take some damage out of those spores, but the Overlords easy targets, of course, against 8 Corsairs. Finally some Scourges do get good connections, but in the end the Protoss has to retreat. However, the mission has been successful. He did snipe those Overlords. He has pretty much supply blocked the Zerg right here, and he might even be lucky and snipe all of those Scourges in here. Some cannons could get some good shots here, as the Scourges are just patrolling for some units, and now the Corsairs might get some good shots, even the cannon dealing some damage. And indeed we have a Reaver popping out, and the Corsairs could now snipe so many Scourges here, so great stuff by the Protoss player. Scourges on the retreat now. It's just Zerglings and Scourges, and some Hydralisks now finally getting produced. Actually massive amounts of Hydralisks, as you can see in the production tab. Very soon we'll be attacking, and looks like the Protoss is pretty much going to commit here forward. He has so many numbers of Corsairs. This is going to try to snap yet another Overlord, and many more Overlords could come. Just pretty much on the hunt for those Overlords, just trying to inflict as much damage as possible as he can. And let's see if he's going to be lucky here. There's so many Hydralisks. ZIKY nicely micro-reading them back, and there's even a spore here, so I don't think the Protoss is going to commit. We might snap some Overlords here into the left part of the map. More and more Hydras are getting spawned here for the Protoss player for Spirit. And yeah, it looks like just the Korean player just roaming around this map, just forcing actually ZIKY to stay at home with his Hydras, with his Overlords. Speed, of course, has been done for the Overlords, and actually ZIKY will have to very likely take those Overlords with him. And we can see actually a drop now, and 4 drones already have been sniped. So a very nice abusive gameplay here for the Protoss, as we even have disruption web here being actually researched for those Corsairs. So in order to counter the high risk on the ground, disruption web will be used by the Protoss, making those high risk blind, not being able to attack the air. So quite interesting move, as in comes once again the Corsairs, but the Scourges are here to intercept. Yeah, nice abusive gameplay. The shuttle might get some good connections here, but he needs to be careful not to lose this one. It's very important to keep it alive. The Corsairs nicely holding their position and sniping the Scourges. So very defensive gameplay here for ZIKY, as he has to stay back, of course, to protect those overlords. And yeah, just wait for any incoming damages. The Reavers also very, very good. Let's see how many Reavers he had here. One Reaver is still pretty much alive, as he was able to snipe those 4 drones into this location. So quite a nice move here by the Protoss. A very abusive gameplay with massive amounts of Scourges, and actually now transitioning to more and more of those Reavers, and also having a very healthy economy here. You can see it above 1000 minerals. 43 workers versus the 40, but in comes ZIKY on the move out with his hide risk. He really has to spread those hide risk against the disruption web. And now in comes another attack. Only one spore here. The Corsairs will tank the mostly of the damage, and now in come the massive amounts of drop. We really even have to disrupt these webs on the ground, and lots of splash damage. 3 Reavers dealing so much damage, and the web gives protection towards all of those units. The hide risk are pretty much useless now. A massive amount of those webs all around the map. So very, very nice stuff here by the South Korean player, showing us a very interesting strategy here. Even the overlords are getting healed. Finally, some hide risk will get some good connections, but the damage has already been done. ZIKY has dropped to 30 workers, as he's able to snipe this attempt here from an expansion. But yeah, what a nice abusive gameplay. Even one shuttle making it out alive. I believe the Reavers, one Reaver has been sniped. But yeah, such a nice move by him with the disruption web, showing us a very interesting and strong strategy actually versus the Zerg. So the Zerg might try to go for some mutilists, but even that would be very hard against so many Corsairs in the air. I believe it was around 8, and now it's even 10. So 10 Corsairs, quite a strong army fleet to have. Finally, in comes some battles here, but we do have disruption web once again, and the Reaver will very likely take damage, actually deal damage versus those units. Finally, the Scourges will get some good connections. Even the shuttle has been sniped, but still a large amount of those Corsairs are pretty much being left alive here, as the Protoss feels confident to actually expand into this location, even securing it with the Corsairs and the Reavers on the air. So yeah, the map control is very in favor of the Zerg, but what exactly can he do versus so many Reavers? The bouncing balls from the Reavers are dealing great amounts of splash damage, as the Scarabs are now once again getting trained, dealing good amounts of damage, and the ramp is pretty much secure with those Zealots. So ZIKY might try perhaps a drop attempt with some overlords into this area. He might try to pincer maneuver from all directions, but the ramps are pretty much blocked. And once again the disruptive web, the nebula here once again being casted by the Protoss. ZIKY tries to micro it moving forward, but it's really hard, and those Reavers in the back just deal so much splash damage. Only a Reaver has been sniped, the second one as well, and I believe the Protoss is very likely going to abandon this expansion attempt here and perhaps try to harass the Zerg even more. But we do see actually ZIKY just expanding all over the map, and finally we have a transition into lurkers. So this could be an attack very soon into the expansion point. Like I told you, he could also take those overlords with him, but now he has to retreat, of course, against so many Corsairs. And once again, very hard game here for the Zerg, as the Reavers are once again inbound to be microed out of danger with the shuttle here. We do have some more lurkers on the ground. There is, I believe, no detection here for the Protoss. I don't see any observer, so this is actually very good for the Zerg, for ZIKY here, as the lurkers will secure this position right here, and the Protoss pretty much has to retreat. One Reaver is actually being left alive, and another disruptive web here, but yeah, in the meantime, like I told you, ZIKY expanding all over the map, as we have passed, or we will pass soon, the half time. So this position right here could be very good with some overlords into dropping some lurkers, just dealing good amounts of damage into the main, as this entrance right here is pretty much secured with cannons. And let's see if this is indeed going to be the attempt from ZIKY, from the Zerg, as we once again see the Scourges taking some good connections here, but once again a drop is going to happen very soon into this location. However, a smart move by the Zerg as he has borrowed all of those drones, so countering abusive gameplay with a very nice defensive gameplay here for the SZIKY. Let's see if the units will take this flash damage, of course, out of the Reavers, so it's really hard to engage here against that Nebula. The shuttles will very likely be the first counter for him, the first target for him. And a nice borrow and unborrow here for SZIKY. SZIKY not taking so many casualties. Very interesting strategy to counter the abusive strategy for the South Korean game. So very nice stuff by him. All of a sudden the South Korean player on the retreat. He's only at 2 bases. SZIKY not allowing him to expand all over the map. Very nice map control here for the Hungarian player, and even having more and more workers here all around the map. 51 workers all of a sudden. His economy is really strong. Very soon he might overwhelm the Protoss player, so the Protoss has to be very careful. He has to, of course, to expand. He has to secure the expansion. As 4 Reavers versus 1 Zergling here into this location, and some Scourges try to get some good connections. Scourge is still alive here, quite an interesting position. I need the Corsairs see him and snipe him, as he is going to very likely secure this expansion for him. But yeah, in comes SZIKY with his reinforcements. This position right here nicely secured with lurkers, and I believe he's going to try to attack on both ramps, but it's so many Reavers on the ground for the Protoss. 6 Reavers for him, actually even 7. No, it's 6. Yeah, let's see if this is going to be enough. The incoming Zerglings, we try to go for a surround once again. Nebula has been used. Nice stuff here by SZIKY. He's going to snipe one Reaver after the other. He's also nicely microing those Hydras out of danger. In come the reinforcements for him, but there's so many Reavers are still being left alive. That splash damage is very strong, so the Hydras stood no chance against the Reavers on the high ground. Some 3 Reavers have been sniped here, but more and more are going to be produced here by the Protoss. So this expansion right here is going to be very likely the next target for the Zerg, but he has to get some more tankier units against those Reavers. I believe a transition into Ultralisk would be a nice idea here for SZIKY. Either that or massive amounts of upgraded Zerglings. Has checked the upgrade stats, 0 to 0 still for him, so perhaps some carrier pace upgrades would also be strong. Let's see the Protoss here income, the Zerg, but there are already cannons here, and I believe this is very likely a suicide mission. The Corsairs are still inbound, even using the Nebula once again, as the Zerglings will very likely take care of those cannons. But yeah, the real damage dealers are of course the Reavers, and with that once again the Protoss holds this newly established base, a very important base for him, as SZIKY is also taking this expansion right here. So quite interesting stuff. Still only 40 workers here for the Protoss player, as he's going into massive amounts of Reavers, and I believe another drop could happen very soon. So the expansion is secured. The Protoss feels now confident to move out. Once again, he's going to be able to snipe the Overlord, and I believe this could be his next target. There are some Zerglings here. Let's see if he's going to be successful, or is he going to get surrounded by some units or intercepted by some units from the Zerg. There's lots and lots of map awareness here for SZIKY, so he should know exactly what the next steps are going to be here for the Protoss. He might try a nice flank with some Scourges. He could snipe the important shuttle here. So let's see. No, the Corsairs actually take out the Scourges. Nice stuff here by the Protoss, as slowly but steadily we're closing towards the 20-minute mark. So quite an interesting game we have here in between the 2 international pros. SZIKY tries to counter the Corsairs and the Reavers with the Zerglings and the Hydralisk in the air, but there's so many Corsairs. Once again, the Scourges are trying to get some connections. Notice how the Protoss has found the high ground here, not allowing the Hydralisk to attack, so a very smart move by him. At the same time, the Zerg tries, of course, to counter any other expansion attempt by the Protoss, and once again, the Protoss being, of course, much more mobile, might try to attack this location right here, or this one right here. Let's see if he's going to be successful. Once again, it is going to be indeed this location right here, but there is a Reaver and actually a lurker straight under those Reavers. And let's have a look, those splashing balls out of the Reavers, but he did not calculate that there was indeed a lurker here into this location, dealing damage towards him. So the Protoss player really needs some servers, very much needed. He might try to snipe the location right here. Is there an observer? Yes, somehow he does have indeed vision. And yet the hatchery taking very much damage out of the Reverse, and once again defensive matrix is being used here, or Nebula is being used here by the Protoss, pretty much making all of those Hydras useless as they can't deal damage. Very abusive, a very nice strategy here by the Protoss. And yeah, all of a sudden, oh, I completely missed this one, he's actually going for carriers. So we have pretty much a transition from the Protoss from an abusive gameplay into a finishing gameplay, or massive amounts of carriers. But is it going to be enough, as ZIKY has so many Scourges, and we even see some Defiler gameplay here by him. Yeah, Scourges will of course be the counter towards those carriers. It's 3 starports and still only a fleet of units here for the Protoss, as ZIKY might try to just get as much map awareness as possible, and the Protoss still continuing to being abusive. Might even snipe those 2 drones here on the ground. I believe ZIKY has forgotten about those, and let's see where the Protoss is going to attack. Straight into this location, but there are defenses all over the map, so a nice gameplay here for ZIKY, as he has so many units. Could this be an attempt by him to drop here? No, he's actually moving more forward, and this right here could be a good position for the Protoss to attack once again. But we do have Burrow available. I believe he's going to try to very likely snipe the hatchery once again, then just move out. The Spore is also taking good damage. Yeah, those Reavers are really dealing great amounts of splash damage. As soon as the Hydras will pop out, they will feel the splash damage out of the Reavers. And once again, the Nebula very nicely being used here by the Protoss. A very interesting strategy if you're a Protoss player versus a Zerg. It looks very imbalanced, it looks very strong, as he's dealing more and more amounts of splash damage with the Reavers, and one hatchery after the other is falling. Even the legs, even the eggs are falling. But hold on, we actually have a counter attempt here by ZIKY with upgraded Zerglings. Let's check the upgrades very quick, as he's at 1 to 2. So very nice upgrades. The Protoss with his main units here into this location. He might have to come back, as Dark Templar Swarms has been used here against the cannons. So upgraded Zerglings seems to be the answer. ZIKY pretty much had enough of the abusive gameplay, as he's going to finish the expansion right here. Where are those carriers? However, the carriers are still at home, so this is going to be the surprise from the Protoss versus the Zerg. And yeah, lots and lots of Zerglings on the ground, backed up by those Hydras, pretty much taking care of those units. And finally, we do see a fleet, another fleet of 7 carriers here for the Protoss. So the answer from the Protoss is very simple. Carriers, it is going to be a very protective scale here, nicely hiding them into this location. And the Reavers once again moving forward with the Reaver Scarabs, just dealing massive amounts of splash damage. Scourges might get some good connections, but in the end the Protoss will hold. He did lose, however, his expansion. And yeah, worker wise, Spirit is pretty much behind, so those carriers really have to hurry up to win the game here for the Protoss. And let's see if it's going to be enough, as ZIKY is very likely going to go into Mutelist now. So we might see him go for some Mutelist gameplay. He has a greater Spire, so is it going to be Devourers versus the carriers in the air? We are about to find out very soon, as indeed Devourers would very likely be the counter, but there's still Corsairs in the air. We even have Scourges now being produced, as in comes the fleet, the strong fleet from the Protoss, and a counter attack from ZIKY with the Zerglings on the ground. The real action is of course happening here into this location. Drone after drone is getting snapped. The Hydras try their best, but ZIKY is also nicely dropping some units here, so the Protoss is very likely soon going to lose all of his production buildings. So this fleet right here, backed up by the Reaver, has to finish the job for him. Is it going to be enough? So many carriers are still in the air. Then I believe indeed we do see some Devourers, so some Devourers is going to be the answer here for ZIKY versus the carriers. 250 HP versus 300 HP and shields for the Protoss player. And let's not forget that he also has those Corsairs in the air, so the Corsairs are going to be the answer versus the Devourers, as more and more units are getting lost here for the Zerg. So the carriers was very strong, very deadly, and more units, more buildings are falling here for the Zerg. But hold on, we actually see that Strawberry Juice now being attacked here by those Devourers, just dealing, I believe, damage as its spores. More and more acid spores are being launched here by the Zerg, and we even have Hydras targeting those interceptors. So all of those carriers do have acid spores. I believe they make the Protoss units attack less and even take some damage. I'm not sure, I will have to research it on Google. So yeah, I believe they move slower and they Also text slow, it is looking like a strawberry juice here for the Zerg versus his opponent. So the Devour sadly here for ZIKY have pretty much been taken out, even the Hydras have been taken out. Squid just tried to get some good connections. They are finishing one carrier off, but there's still 4 carriers being left alive. And if the economy is going to be strong enough here for ZIKY, he should be able to take out more and more, as the Protoss also having to defend here into this location. The Reavers dealing some good amounts of damage. This is the only base that is mining from the Protoss, as he's now moving forward into sniping more and more of the units, more and more buildings from the Zerg. So yeah, this army right here pretty much has to finish the job for SPIRITPARK. Let's see if it's going to be enough. The Greater Spire has to be attacked, and yeah, the position is looking really strong, as SPIRITPARK has dropped to 29 workers, 30 workers only here for ZIKY, as he waits for a full-on attack with those Hydras. Yeah, but the Hydras could of course be taken out by the Nebula once again. So the Devour sadly for ZIKY didn't work out. They did deal good, splashed good damage with that strawberry attack, but in the end looks like the Protoss just with those Corsairs pretty much countering the air defenses for the Zerg. So let's see if this is going to be enough for SPIRITPARK to finish off the job. The Zerglings are still dealing damage here, so Spirit pretty much abandoning his main and just defending his newly established bases on the 12 o'clock position. So yeah, slowly but steadily you can see we are turning towards the last minutes of this game. Still anyone's game. If ZIKY somehow can build a reliable anti-air composure, he still has some Hydras here. Not that many spores, only 1 spore here into this location. Lots of cannons here into defending this location, as ZIKY actually feeling confident to expand all over the map. I believe some more anti-air units should be placed very soon by him instead of expansions. And yeah, he's moving forward with some units here, but they will be very likely sacrificed, as the carrier is taking quite some damage out of the Hydralisk. And then in comes the attack. The carrier is in a nice position here, being protected by the sea, and we might see a drop very soon. Nebula once again is getting used, and one shuttle is taking quite some damage, but the carrier is nicely getting protected here in a good zone for them, as they will be able to snap unit after unit. And yeah, Hydralisk left and right taking some damage. The Zerg is trying of course to nicely micro them, but now in come the real splash damage dealers. The Reavers are inbound, as Nebula once again is getting used. Nice job once again by the Protoss. A nice mix of units, like I told you, carriers, shuttles and Corsairs and Reavers on the ground, as this expansion right here is also about to get finished very soon. And ZIKY dropping to 25 workers, so yeah, it looks really bad for him. The economy from the Protoss notice is really strong, 2000 minerals, as he's pushing forward, so he is able to afford to construct more interceptors. And yeah, the 2 shuttles are still pretty much alive. I believe Reavers are still into them. Yes, indeed they are. In the income, the Hydralisk, but the Corsairs should of course use Nebula once again, as more and more anti-air is getting spawned here by ZIKY as he's moving forward. Lots and lots of spores, lots and lots of hatcheries by him, so interceptors will indeed take damage, but the Reavers are backing them up nicely from the back, and now even the Hydralisk will take damage out of the units. One carrier has been sniped. The hatchery is also taking quite some damage here, and what's more important, the expansion right here from the Protoss is not getting touched, as the Protoss just keeps on pushing here forward with his carriers. He might lose another carrier here, but no Nebula actually has been used. Massive amounts of Nebulas once again being used here by the Protoss, as he's going to snap unit after unit. And yeah, the Reavers also rebuilding their scarabs and deal more and more damage towards the Zerg hatcheries. So yeah, the Corsairs in the air giving back up with the Nebula, as the spores of course try their best to snap interceptor after interceptor. But yeah, the high ground is now pretty much in control of the Protoss, as he's even able to snap more and more of the overlords, and I think he's been pretty much supply block at 70 here. So yeah, the Protoss is holding his position, just allowing the carriers to deal more and more amounts of damage. And yeah, spore after spore is getting lost, and I don't know if ZIKY will have enough to hold this back. He's trying of course to mine as much as he can. Now some drones try to get transferred here, but the Reaver will intercept them with the scarabs. So splash damage is being taken by the drones, and ZIKY is dropping to 22 workers versus the 29 here from Spirit. But hold on, Spirit actually not mining from this location, so there's still a chance here for ZIKY to come back. as he has 2 bases that are still mining here. He just needs to replace the spawning pool and the Hydralisk then, so he could be okay, as the carriers won't be able to produce interceptors and the Reavers won't be able to produce Scarabs. So yeah, what an interesting game we have indeed here, but the economy is still strong, and by the looks of it, SZIKY has given up. So it is indeed going to be a GG, as the carriers would have been able to move here forward into the next expansion point and the other expansion point here as well. So quite a close game, but in the end, sadly for SZIKY, those Devourers didn't work out. Perhaps massive amounts of Mutalisks could have been interesting, more Scourges. And yeah, those Corsairs with that Nebula versus the Hydralisk Underground were a very good option here for SPIRITPARK. So quite an interesting international game. This time the South Korean player proving to be a little bit too strong versus SZIKY. And yeah, very interesting game we have here indeed, with a very interesting strategy. Corsairs with Nebula versus the ground units from the Zerg versus the Hydralisk. So yeah, a quite interesting strategy. You might try it out on the ladder. Yeah, but for this time, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Tommy signing out.